So here we are, episode 1 of Carp Fix. We were looking for venues, 2020 has been a difficult year, there's been lockdown, there's been travel restrictions, but we didn't want to just go to any old day ticket lake for episode 1. We are going to go to day ticket lakes throughout these series, but for the first one, we wanted to go on a bit of a road trip. I spent most of the year fishing in the UK and I just wanted to get abroad. We couldn't go to France because we would need to quarantine on return, and we would need to do the same if we went to Belgium or Holland. But Germany, if we were to find a lake in Germany, we wouldn't need to quarantine. And my mate Chris, he came back to us with a really nice lake. Scott and I, we didn't know a lot about it, but there's a little bit of information, 350s in there maybe. It was available, no one was booked on. And, the fishing in the UK during 2020, every lake has been absolutely rammed. Most people have been working from home. The banks have been busier than ever before, and the opportunity to have almost free run of a lake on a bit of an adventure was just too much to resist. Lots of time in the garage prepping the stuff. It's a long way. It was 12 hours door to door. Needed to make sure that we had everything prepared for, everything planned, and let's see how we get on. Bon voyage. This is big carp. Nice little marinas off the massive river. Oh mate. Do this. So we've made it. We've arrived just before it's got dark. Just time to have a little look. The lake is there's a big pool sort of here, and then a thin channel, and then it sort of opens up into another pool. So it's almost like a lake of 3 parts, the 2 pools and the connecting channel. All the swims are on this side, which means the far bank here is the furthest point away where the fish can get, and naturally anywhere that receives a little bit of angling pressure, they're quite often, not always, but naturally drawn to the furthest points away from where the angling pressure is. And I'm looking at the far bank and where's the best way to open up the angle so that you can get as many rods as you want along that far bank. And I think this is probably the best position to attack that far margin. We've got the lovely kitchen just up there that in a short while we're going to have some pizza and beer. But while there's enough light, I would like to go and look at the other pool at the other end. It's a slightly smaller pool, but it's got a really nice overhanging tree, or a nice it looks like on Google Earth, should I say, a nice area of overhanging trees. And I think it'd be wise to have a little look up there before we make our choice. Not a bad welcome, eh? Optimum brew time. Last night, after having a bit of pizza and a beer, I had a little wander up to the end of the lake into a sort of a small pool, and I've not been there very long. And 100% carp jumped out. It's really close, sort of 80 yards out, really quiet here. It sort of echoed back to the bank. The ripples came in, and as I stood there a bit longer, I heard at least 3 definites with some possibles. And bearing in mind that the definites were there, the possibles were very likely as well, So I made the decision to load up the barrow and take most of the gear up there last night. And I did hear a couple more sort of as we were getting off to sleep, and there's been a couple jump out there this morning. But you're always worried about what you're missing, and obviously I couldn't see this part of the lake from where we bivvied up last night or this morning. So I've just come down here to have 10 minutes to make sure I'm making the right decision. I should be getting my rods out and be fishing, but there's always that fear factor that you're fear of missing out. You don't know what you're missing unless you come and have a look. So yeah, give it another
5 minutes here, I reckon, and then get back to the swim and get the rods out. Just as the light meets the dark, there was just a big patch of fizz come up out there. Nice marker not far from where they were jumping in the night, a little bit to the right. I think we need to stop messing around and get some stuff together. Well, that's really, oh look, that's lovely. That's like double nice. I thought we were going to be dropping in 20 feet of water because there's a little sort of basic map of the lake saying it was there was a 7.8 metre hole out in this area. But according to this, it's actually 8 foot deep, a little plateau. Got a real small amount of bait in the boat, just enough for one bite really. It's looking really good, so I'm going to drop it there. Here goes. Oh no, Scott. Not ideal. Not a good start. Well, that's the left-hand rod back out there after the tench. I set up on this swim on the strength of what I heard last night, and I did hear one this morning when I woke up fairly early, but I was umming and ahhing, are they still here? And not long ago, maybe sort of 45 minutes ago, one has showed right at the back of this bay, right against the bank. So yeah, I'm not gonna move my rods and sort of chase that fish around. I'm gonna hope that they come back to the area where they were jumping in the night. The traps are set, they're out there. But failing that, if the fish don't come closer and they stay to that far bank, I did mark where it was. I know where it was exactly, so yeah. I'm happy, you know, that getting out and knowing that the fish is still in the zone, that is a big thing, you know, so I can sit back content. The rigs are out there presented, the bait boat sort of approach, not scaring the fish, seems to have worked, and yeah, fingers crossed for tonight. Having seen that one at the back and been round and had a look at it from the far bank, I think that's where I need that's the area I've got the most confidence in. And having wound in that middle rod from the open water, it was in sort of stodgy bottom. The lead absolutely stunk. It was disgusting. And I'm guessing, hoping, that as I take the bait boat towards the far margin, the bottom will come up, and when the wind's blowing over there, the marginal shelf is normally never that wrong compared to other areas. You know, the deeper sort of basins tend to get the horrible smelling silt in, and the edges tend to be harder and tend to be cleaner. And having seen a fish show really tight against that far bank, it's one of the furthest points I can get away from anglers. It feels like the right thing to do, and if it feels like the right thing to do, it probably is. It's come up to 6 foot pretty quickly, sort of in the middle, halfway across, and it appears like it's staying the same. I'm going to take it right to the far bank and see if it drops off or if it comes up at all. That white on the screen, I'm fairly certain that indicates really hard bottom. But I'm liking the look of that. I'm going to drop here. Yeah, that looks good to me. Sort of 5-6 foot. They like it there. Well, first ever carp fix carp is on the rod. Yeah, it's a big deal, that. Whoa, interesting, it's only one of 3 rods that's in the open water. Here he is, let's have you. First carp fix carp is in the nets. Get in there. And that is a 30 pounder, I reckon. Having the old boat pumped up certainly paid out there. The fish kited left. It was the rod that I put out on dusk, you know, just before it got dark. Not a bad first night, a couple of bites. Happy with that. Here we go. Oh yes, look at that. Scotty sitting on the old net. Right, you ready?
I think so.
Here you go, Scotty. Yes, yes. It's another fish. Look at it. Ooh, it's got a few scales on it. It's got a few scales on it. Well, that's not a bad start, is it? 2 fish on the first night. It's 6:30 in the morning. It's going to be light at about 7. I'm going to wait to put the second rod back out. I think I just couldn't do it much better in the daylight, and there's no point in rushing it out there if it's only like an hour away. So yeah, I'm going to hold fire with that. Sort of thinking about what I've learned and what I've taken from the session so far, and what adjustments I can make to my approach. First of all, obviously the first evening when we looked round after the pizza, I heard some fish jumping, and they sound like they were in the middle of this bowl out here. So that was my opening line of attack, you know, take the rods out to where I thought I'd heard them. And the right-hand rod was sort of taken out to while I was doing the first rod, I see a bit of bubbling out there, and that actually produced the first fish. I drove the bow out to sort of where the shadow reflected onto the surface. I had like a point of reference, I had a horizon marker, but also a marker in the water, and I drove the bait boat into the area where I'd seen the bubbles, and that was how I caught the first fish. The second fish has come towing right to the far bank with the bait boat, and that's where I saw one in the sort of late afternoon. One jumped out on the far side, so I adjusted the position of one of the rods, put it all the way to the back, and that's produced the second fish. And the only rod that's not produced so far is the left-hand one. And on dusk, I actually saw 2 fish show maybe 30 yards further down towards the far bank than its current position. So I'm going to remove that as well. So the left-hand rod is going to go to where I saw the fish in the evening. The middle rod is going to go to the far bank, and the right-hand rod is going to go back to where that bubbler is. Even with the bait boat, you know, it's not the quietest thing in the world. It does make a bit of racket, but it is a lot more sort of stealthy than leading up for spots. You know, using the echo sounder, finding clearish bottom to present on in areas where you've seen activity. Dropping a little pile of bait like that is a deadly method, and one that I should use more often. Really, I've only sort of got into the bait boat. But thoughts for the rest of the session. Obviously, there's a guy at the other end of the lake. He's in sort of what you'd call the main basin. He said he's doing either just last night and maybe tonight coming as well. So he's definitely there until tomorrow. Well, he said it might be there until tomorrow. So we're probably going to end up staying where we are, which isn't a bad thing. Obviously, caught 2 fish, and there's probably more around. And at least if we fish here tonight and don't catch, we will know that they're not here, or we won't hear them, or we won't catch, and then we'll have the option to move down there tomorrow when he's gone. But I think I'm fairly confident, you know, caught on 2 different spots, and I've got a third one in mind where I'd seen some fish. So yeah, everything's looking good. Well, good morning, and what a morning it is. Carp Fix's first ever carp, 27 pounds, and yeah, I really didn't think that during 2020 I was going to be able to fish abroad because of COVID, but thankfully the Germans have let us in, and the main catalyst behind this capture was arriving late and having a little walk around and listening. You know, it's now the beginning of October, and in the autumn carp are notoriously prime for showing in the hours of darkness, and those sounds of the fish sloshing out there in the middle, they were the main reason why I picked this end of the lake. And while we were setting up in the morning, I did see, it was flat calm, I did see a few bubbles sort of just hit the surface into the reflection of the shadow line on the far bank, and that gave me sort of, I had a horizon marker, I had a distance marker, and I took the bait boat out there. It showed me that it was at the top of a shelf, so I came across the deep water. It started to come up steeply until I was in, I think, about 7 foot, and it was exactly where the bubbling was. Dropped the old tigers, just a couple of handfuls, and the old white wafter over the top, and that was enough. Well, here he is, fish number 2, just under 32 pounds, and the perfect end to the first night, really. Couldn't have asked for much more than that. I've redone all of the rods this morning. Obviously I did this rod first, all the way out to the back. That's the position where we saw that fish jump yesterday afternoon. And then I redid the right-hand rod, which was the first fish. That's just out to the right-hand side, towards a little gap in the reeds. And then I redid the left-hand rod, and that went out towards where it's in a little bit of activity just on dusk. So 2 of the rods are produced, 1's on jumping fish in the evening, so it looks really good. If the fish are still at this end, then I'm fairly confident that there's going to be more to come yet.